I knew something felt wrong long before I understood why, long before the fear settled into my chest and made itself comfortable there, because the first thing I noticed when I walked into the building that night was how quiet it was in a way silence isn't supposed to be, like the sound itself had been drained out of the air and left behind something heavy and watchful. The Ohio Ridge Communications Center sat alone at the edge of town, surrounded by flat farmland and broken fences, the kind of place you only noticed if you were already looking for it, and even then you might assume it had been abandoned years ago. The parking lot lights flickered constantly, and the wind never stopped moving across the fields, making the building groan softly as if it were breathing. I took this job because I needed the money, because my savings were gone, because in rural Ohio you don't turn down a paycheck that's almost double the normal rate without asking too many questions. Overnight shifts only, minimal training, immediate start. That should have been my first warning. When I stepped onto the call floor for the first time, the rows of desks stretched farther than I expected, each one lit by a single monitor glowing pale blue in the dark. Most of the overhead lights were off, leaving long shadows between workstations. People were already sitting there, headsets on, eyes fixed forward, barely moving except to type or reach for a mouse. No one looked at me. Before I could sit down, my supervisor stopped me. Her name was Carol. She looked exhausted in a way sleep couldn't fix, like someone who had been tired for years and stopped hoping that would ever change. She handed me a laminated sheet of paper without saying anything at first. When I took it, I noticed her hands were trembling slightly. "Read this," she said quietly. "Memorize it before you log in." The title at the top read, Night Shift Operational Rules. There were 12 rules in total, written in plain language, no explanations, no company logos, no signatures. Never answer a call that comes in at exactly 3:11 a.m. If you hear breathing before the caller speaks, hang up immediately and do not log the call. If a caller knows your full name before you introduce yourself, transfer them to line 7 and leave your station for 5 minutes. Do not respond to questions about the building's location. If the lights flicker, remove your headset and look at the floor until they stabilize. I smiled nervously and told myself this was some kind of corporate scare tactic, a weird tradition meant to keep night workers alert or mess with new hires. I even let out a small laugh. Carol didn't react. "These rules are not suggestions," she said. "They're the difference between going home and not." That was when my headset crackled, even though I hadn't logged in yet. I lifted it slowly and pressed it against my ear. Breathing. Not loud. Not rushed. Slow, controlled, like whoever was on the other end knew exactly how much sound to make to let me know they were there. I pulled the headset away instantly, heart pounding. When I put it back on, the sound was gone. Carol watched me carefully, then nodded once, like I'd just passed a test I didn't know I was taking. The first few hours of my shift were almost normal. Calls came in from closed clinics, late-night stores, automated systems that failed and rerouted everything to us. I answered politely, followed scripts, logged tickets. The building creaked as the wind pushed against it, and every so often the lights buzzed faintly overhead. At 1:47 a.m., my screen flashed with an incoming call. The line connected, but no one spoke. I waited, listening. Breathing. Closer this time. Wet, uneven, like lips pressed right up against the microphone. My stomach dropped. Rule number 2. I ended the call without logging it, my fingers shaking as I reached for my water bottle. The next call came through immediately, cheerful and normal, like nothing had happened at all. At 2:58 a.m., Carol walked slowly between the rows of desks. 3 minutes, she whispered. No one asked what she meant. No one reacted. At exactly 3:11 a.m., my phone rang. The system shouldn't have allowed it. That minute was blocked every night, locked out at the server level. The phone rang anyway. Once. Twice. I stared at the screen, my pulse pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. I didn't answer. The ringing stopped on its own. A message appeared on my monitor. Why didn't you pick up? I logged out early and sat in my car afterward, watching the building from the parking lot as the sky slowly began to lighten, convinced that if I drove away too quickly, something would follow me. A few nights later, a new hire named Tyler joined the shift. He laughed when he read the rules, said they sounded like a bad horror story someone copied off the internet. He broke them constantly, answering calls he shouldn't, joking loudly, asking questions no one else would. On his third night, at exactly 3:11 a.m., Tyler answered the call. The sound that came through his headset wasn't loud, but it was wrong, compressed and distorted, like it wasn't meant to exist in our world. Tyler screamed, then laughed, then fell out of his chair clutching his head while whispering numbers that didn't make any sense. Security dragged him away while Carol told us not to look. Tyler never came back. The night the power flickered, I remembered Rule 5 and removed my headset, staring at the floor, holding my breath. I heard bare footsteps behind me. A voice leaned close to my ear. "You listened," it said. "That's why you're still here." When my shift ended, Carol stopped me at the door. "You're surviving," she said quietly. I asked her what happened to the calls we never answered. She paused before replying. "They still connect," she said. "I still work there. And if you ever call late at night and the line goes quiet, if someone knows your name before you speak, if the call comes in at exactly 3:11 a.m., hang up. Because something on the other end already knows where you are."